My engagement ring receipt was stapled to a contract selling my company for $1 to my best friend. The diamond was for my fiancée, Vanessa. The contract was signed by me, except I had never seen it before in my life. And the man who handed it to me, smiling under the fluorescent lights of a downtown Seattle conference room, was my business partner of 7 years. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 34 then, a software engineer living in Seattle, and I had spent nearly a decade building a logistics platform called RouteForge from a rented desk, a cracked laptop, and a terrifying amount of caffeine. My best friend, Adrian Cole, 35, was the polished one. He wore Navy suits, knew investors by first name, and could make a room full of venture capitalists lean forward like he was handing out winning lottery numbers. We met at the University of Washington when we were both broke students eating dollar noodles in a dorm lounge that smelled like burnt popcorn. He helped me through my father's funeral in 2018. I paid his rent for 2 months when his first startup collapsed in 2019. When RouteForge landed our first real client, a shipping company in Tacoma worth $180,000 a year, Adrian hugged me so hard my ribs hurt. Vanessa Hale, 32, was a commercial real estate analyst from Bellevue. She had a laugh that filled my kitchen and a habit of leaving sticky notes on my coffee machine that said things like, "Go conquer the world." I proposed to her in my head 100 times before I bought the actual ring on February 3rd, a $14,800 oval diamond from Lander and Company downtown. My life felt solid then. Warm dinners, long planning meetings, Sunday hikes at Discovery Park with the wet smell of pine and salt air. I trusted them both completely. The first strange thing happened on March 15th. I was in our office near Pioneer Square, the one with exposed brick walls and windows that rattled whenever the light rail passed, when our accountant, Meena Patel, called and asked, "Did you approve the $47,600 transfer to Northline Consulting?" I remember staring at the rain streaking down the glass. "Northline who?" She paused. I could hear keys clicking in the background. Adrian said it was for market expansion. When I asked him about it, he laughed and slapped my shoulder. "Come on, Dan. You code. I sell. Let me sell." Then Vanessa started getting quiet phone calls after dinner. She would step onto the balcony of my Capitol Hill apartment and lower her voice while the city hummed below. Once, at 11:42 p.m. on April 8th, I heard her say, "Not until the paperwork clears." When I walked out, she smiled too fast. "Work drama," she said, rubbing her arms like the spring air had suddenly turned cold. There were other little things. Adrian stopped copying me on investor emails. A $3,200 legal invoice appeared from a firm I had never hired. Vanessa asked oddly specific questions about my equity, vesting schedule, and whether Adrian had equal authority. I dismissed all of it because trust makes a comfortable blindfold. It smells like coffee in the morning and feels like someone's hand in yours. You do not notice how dark it is until it comes off. The truth arrived on May 6th at 9:10 a.m., wrapped in a cream envelope from Halverson and Pike Legal Services. I was standing barefoot in my kitchen, towel cold under my feet, eating toast that tasted like cardboard because I was already late for a client demo. The envelope was addressed to Mr. Daniel Mercer, former CTO, RouteForge Technologies. Former. My fingers went numb around the butter knife. Inside was a packet congratulating me on the voluntary divestiture of my 52% ownership stake to a holding company called AC Meridian Group for the consideration of $1. Attached was my signature, or something wearing my signature like a mask. The line slanted wrong. The M in Mercer had a loop I never used. My ears started ringing. At the bottom of the packet was a photocopy of my driver's license and, somehow, the receipt for Vanessa's engagement ring. Same date, same total, same last 4 digits of my card. My phone buzzed. "Adrian." "Hey, brother," he said, cheerful, like sunlight on broken glass. "You got the packet? What did you do?" My voice came out dry and thin. He sighed. "Don't make this ugly." "Adrian, what did you do?" A chair creaked on his end. "I saved the company from you." I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. "That signature is forged." "Careful," he said softly. "Accusations have consequences." Then Vanessa walked into the kitchen wearing my gray sweatshirt, her hair still damp from the shower. She saw the papers in my hand and stopped. The air smelled like toast burning. "Vanessa," I said, holding up the ring receipt. "Why is this in a company sale file?" Her face drained of color. She whispered, "Daniel, let me explain." That was when my stomach dropped so fast I had to sit down. Her explanation was worse than silence. She admitted she had introduced Adrian to her cousin, a corporate attorney named Blake Hale, who had created AC Meridian Group. She claimed Adrian said I was burning out and needed to be bought out before I destroyed Route Forge. She said they were protecting me. The words floated across the kitchen like smoke. Impossible to grab, impossible to breathe through. Then I saw the second twist. A calendar notification lit up on Vanessa's phone, lying face up on the counter. A+V investor dinner, 7:30, Canlis. A+V. My throat tightened. "How long?" She reached for the phone, but I picked it up first. I did not open anything. I did not need to. Her face answered. "Daniel, it wasn't planned," she said. I let out a laugh that sounded nothing like me. "You helped him steal my company, and you're seeing him?" She pressed both hands to her mouth. "He said you were going to leave me behind once you got funded." "Who told him that?" She looked down. There it was. Adrian had not just taken my company. He had taken private conversations, twisted them, fed her fear, and turned my future into a shared prize between them. Over the next 3 days, the betrayal unfolded in layers, each one colder than the last. Mina, our accountant, called me from her car because she was afraid the office phones were being monitored. Rain hammered her windshield so loudly I could barely hear her. "Daniel," she said, voice shaking, "there are 6 transfers. Not one. Total is $213,400. To Northline." "Yes, but Northline's registered agent is Blake Hale, Vanessa's cousin." Then my senior developer, Omar Lewis, sent me screenshots at 2:17 a.m. Adrian had been exporting our codebase to a private repository since January. He had created a new company roadmap with my name removed from the founder slide. Worse, he had told employees I was stepping back because of personal instability. Clean words. Poisonous meaning. I drove to the office on May 9th. My keycard flashed red. Through the glass doors, I saw my own desk boxed up. My Seattle Mariners mug sat on top of a cardboard box like a sad little flag. Adrian came out wearing a charcoal suit and a watch I knew he could not afford 2 months earlier. "You locked me out?" I asked. He spread his hands. "The board made a decision." "There is no board." "There is now." I could smell his cologne, sharp and expensive. It made me nauseous. He leaned closer and said, "Take the consulting package. $80,000, mutual non-disparagement, and you walk away with dignity." "My dignity is not for sale." His smile flattened. "Then neither is your future." For a while, I believed him. I stopped sleeping like a normal person. I would lie on my back at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling fan turning slow circles, listening to the refrigerator hum like it was counting down my life. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything useful and left the shell. I lost 14 pounds in 5 weeks. My jeans hung loose. Coffee tasted metallic. I called in sick to the part-time consulting work I picked up because my hands shook too much to type. Every street in Seattle seemed to hold a memory. The Thai place where Adrian and I planned our first pitch. The bench where Vanessa said she loved my quiet ambition. The waterfront where I told her Route Forge would change our lives. My mother, Elaine, drove up from Portland with a cooler full of soup. She found me sitting on the floor surrounded by legal papers. She crouched beside me and said, "Daniel, grief can visit, but it does not get to move in." I wanted to answer, but my throat closed. All I could do was nod while the apartment smelled like chicken broth and rain-soaked wool. The turning point came on June 12th. I was in a grocery store, standing in front of the oranges, when my phone buzzed with a LinkedIn post. Adrian had posted a photo of himself and Vanessa at a rooftop investor event. His caption read, "Grateful to build with people who believe in loyalty." Loyalty. My vision narrowed. The oranges blurred into bright little suns. My fist tightened around my phone until the case creaked. Then I noticed something in the photo behind them. a slide on a projector screen showing RouteForge's new predictive routing engine. My engine, the one I had built before RouteForge legally existed, the one stored in my personal GitHub account from 2017. I set the oranges down, walked to my car, and called Mina. "I'm done being sad," I said. She replied, "Good." I kept everything. The plan started with a yellow legal pad, 3 binders, and a lawyer named Evelyn Park, 46, who had an office on the 22nd floor downtown and the calmest voice I had ever heard. Her conference room smelled like lemon polish and printer toner. I laid out everything: forged documents, transfers, screenshots, texts, calendar notifications, code commits, invoices, access logs. Evelyn listened without interrupting. Then she tapped the forged signature page with one red fingernail. "This is not just betrayal," she said. "This is evidence." I swallowed. "Can we win?" She looked me straight in the eye. "If you can stay patient." Patience became my weapon. Mina quietly exported accounting records before Adrian fired her, which he did on June 20th by email at 6:03 p.m. Omar stayed inside RouteForge's My Eyes, careful and legal, sending only documents he had authorized access to. I hired a forensic document examiner in Spokane for $4,500. He confirmed the signature was digitally lifted from a 2021 bank form. Evelyn filed an emergency civil action under seal to prevent asset transfers. We also prepared a complaint for corporate fraud and intellectual property theft. But the real chess move was the trap. RouteForge was scheduled to announce a $6.8 million Series A investment on July 18th at the Columbia Tower Club. Adrian had invited press, investors, and half the Seattle tech scene. Evelyn sent a formal notice to the lead investor, Marwick Ventures, stating that the ownership of RouteForge and its core technology was disputed and that we possessed evidence of forged transfer documents. They did not cancel the event. Adrian convinced them I was a bitter former founder. So Evelyn smiled and said, "Then we let him say it in public." Execution day felt unreal. July 18th was hot for Seattle, the kind of heat that makes the pavement smell dusty and electric. I wore a navy suit my mother had pressed herself. My palms were damp, and the elevator to the 75th floor rose so smoothly it felt like my stomach was being left behind. Evelyn stood beside me carrying a slim black folder. "Remember," she said, "calm is more frightening than shouting." Mina met us near the lobby fountain, wearing a green dress and a look of absolute focus. Omar arrived separately, pretending to check his phone. We had coordinated everything. Evelyn would serve the injunction paperwork to Marwick's counsel. Mina would hand over the financial trail. Omar would confirm the code repository timeline, and I would keep my mouth shut until asked. The first near miss came when security stopped me at the registration table. "Mr. Mercer, you're not on the list," the woman said, glancing behind me nervously. Before I could answer, Evelyn slid a card across the table. "He is attending as a claimant in active litigation. Please call your event counsel." The woman's headset crackled. I could hear laughter from inside the ballroom, glasses clinking, Adrian's voice warming up the crowd. My collar felt too tight. Then Vanessa walked out. She wore a cream blazer and froze when she saw me. "Daniel," she whispered, "please don't do this here." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt something close inside me. "You chose here," I said. She blinked like the words had landed harder than she expected. Inside, the ballroom glowed with amber lights. The windows showed Seattle spread below us, beautiful and sharp. Adrian stood on stage in front of a giant RouteForge logo, smiling like he owned the skyline. "RouteForge is proof," he told the room, "that integrity and innovation still matter." Evelyn leaned toward me and murmured, "Now." She approached Marwick's counsel at the front table and handed him the sealed court order. I watched his smile disappear line by line. He opened the folder. His jaw tightened. He whispered to the partner beside him. Within seconds, the investors were no longer looking at Adrian. They were looking at the documents. Adrian noticed. His rhythm broke. As I was saying, he continued, voice slightly higher. "Our founder-led vision." "Which founder?" Evelyn called clearly. The room went quiet so fast I heard the ice shift in someone's glass. Adrian stared at her. Then at me. "What is this?" he asked, forcing a laugh. Evelyn's voice stayed even. "A court order freezing Route Forge's disputed assets and prohibiting the closing of today's financing round." Murmurs rippled through the room. Adrian stepped off the stage. His face had gone pale beneath the tan. "Daniel, you need to leave," I said. "Not until everyone sees what you signed my name to." Vanessa grabbed his sleeve. "Adrian, stop talking." But he pulled away. "This man is unstable," he announced to the room. He agreed to step down. Evelyn opened the black folder. "We have a forensic report showing Mr. Mercer's signature was lifted from an unrelated bank document. We have accounting records tracing $213,400 to an entity controlled by Ms. Hale's cousin. We have repository logs showing Mr. Mercer created the core engine before Route Forge's formation." The silence was heavy enough to press on my lungs. Marwick's managing partner, Thomas Greer, stood up slowly. "Mr. Cole, is this accurate?" Adrian's mouth opened, closed. A bead of sweat slid down his temple. Vanessa whispered, "Adrian, tell them it wasn't me." That was the second twist landing in public. She thought he would protect her. Instead, Adrian pointed at her. She handled the paperwork. Vanessa recoiled like he had dropped something burning into her hands. "You told me Daniel approved it. And you believed me because you wanted the payout," he snapped. The whole room heard it. Phones were already up. Cameras recording. The Route Forge logo glowed behind him like a witness. I stepped forward, my heart pounding, but my voice steady. "You were my brother in every way that mattered. I would have given you half of anything. You decided half wasn't enough." Adrian's eyes darted around the room, searching for an ally and finding none. Two uniformed building security officers entered with Marwick's counsel, followed by a representative from the court service Evelyn had arranged. Not police at first, just paperwork and consequences, which somehow felt even cleaner. Thomas Greer said, coldly, "Marwick Ventures is withdrawing immediately pending investigation." Adrian whispered, "Thomas, wait." "No," Thomas said. "You misrepresented material facts to our firm." Vanessa turned to me, mascara gathering at her lower lashes. "Daniel, I'm sorry. I was scared." I looked at her cream blazer, at the woman I had planned to marry, and felt the last chain fall away. "You were greedy," I said. "There's a difference." The aftermath was brutal for them and strangely peaceful for me. Within 48 hours, the event video had spread through Seattle's tech community. Not because I posted it. I did not have to. A founder humiliating himself in front of investors travels faster than any marketing campaign. Marwick withdrew the $6.8 million offer. 2 clients suspended contracts. Route Forge's interim board removed Adrian as CEO pending legal review, then terminated him 3 weeks later. Vanessa resigned from her firm after an internal investigation found she had used client resources to help structure AC Meridian Group. Blake Hale lost his position at his law firm and faced professional discipline. The civil case settled in November. My ownership was restored. I received $310,000 in damages and legal fees, plus full rights to the original routing engine. Adrian avoided a long public trial by agreeing to a judgment that bankrupted his holding company and barred him from serving as an officer of any company handling investor funds for 7 years. Vanessa mailed the ring back in a padded envelope with no note. I sold it and donated half to a scholarship fund for first-generation engineering students. Then I rebuilt. I renamed the platform North Star Routing, hired Mina as CFO, Omar as CTO, and moved us into a smaller office in Fremont that smelled like fresh paint and espresso. By the next summer, we had 12 employees, $1.9 million in annual recurring revenue, and clients in 5 states. In March of the following year, we closed a clean $4.2 million seed round with investors who knew the entire story and still chose me. Actually, they chose me because of it. Today, I'm 36, living in a house near Green Lake with floor-to-ceiling windows and a kitchen where nothing burns unless I forget the sourdough. My mother visits every other weekend and pretends not to cry when she sees our company mentioned in business journals. Mina rings a little brass bell every time we sign a new client. Omar still sends me code reviews at midnight with the subject line, for the Empire. And Adrian, last I heard, he was trying to sell leadership courses online with comments turned off. Vanessa moved to Phoenix and changed industries. Their names no longer make my hands shake. They are just old weather. Betrayal burned my old life to the ground, but it also lit the path out. I learned that trust is precious, signatures matter, and quiet patience can hit harder than any shouted accusation. They thought they were taking my future when they stole my company. They only took the version of me that would have let them stay. I rebuilt